we've listened to a lot of feedback in terms of like, players saying it's like, hey, like Overwatch could really use another healer, stuff like that.
It could.
It could.
What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for Your Overwatch. Really big news dropped that came out of the interview between Scott Mercer, the principal designer of Overwatch, and Siegel on his Twitch stream here today. First things first, the most interesting thing that we think that was spilled was when asked about Mercy balance, Scott responded that he can't talk about it right now, but they are looking at Mercy, and she's getting some very interesting and sweet changes. They'll be talking about it soon, TM, in the classic Blizzard way. Now, I don't think it's too difficult to speculate about how they could change a character like Mercy, because they have a track record of what they want to do with some of these easier type characters in the game. They've done it already with the Lucio rework. They added a shield to Symmetra, and a character like D.Va that just spams Defense Matrix most of the time. Hey, I do it too, so no shame. But as we reported yesterday, that they're going to be adding some more skillful aspects to her kit to get her more engaged in fighting. Well, if we use this logic of trying to get characters to be more engaged fluidly, you'd have to think that they're changing something about Mercy to make her have to do more things to get the normal value out of her, to make these characters that are a bit more simple to play have something that they can do to perform skillful actions to raise the skill cap of the hero. For me, this kind of spirals off into a more important conversation that we don't have enough non-traditional FPS skill set characters in the game. Mercy is the most popular hero. I think they're playing with fire if they're deciding to change Mercy. I know a lot of players in competitive have some hang-ups about how Mercy is rewarded in the SR system, and should it be okay to get up to a certain rank without playing any other character besides Mercy. That's all besides the point for me. I think what's much more important for the health of the game is that we have characters that players like to play, because that's what keeps people around. The world could use more heroes, right? That's the whole mantra of the game. Not we all have to be Quake All-Stars in order to be able to play Overwatch. So anyway, that's something that's really important to me. But perhaps they are addressing that in a different way, perhaps with new heroes. For a long time, a lot of players have said the healers department has been quite low. Well, Scott Mercer says that they're definitely not running out of hero ideas. There'll be no shortage of new heroes coming down the pipeline. And to the chance of the community saying we need another healer, his response is, we are listening to feedback from players. Which I think is a pretty big hint that we're likely to get another healer. Now, of course, the first new hero was Ana, and then we got Sombra, who by any measure is a hybrid at least. Orisa is a tank, and then Doomfist, who's a straight-up brawling offensive DPS guy. Now we've kind of gone full circle that we're likely going to get another healer. It kind of seems natural to me that that's what they would do, or at least a support, maybe even one that doesn't necessarily heal directly, or somehow some indirect supporting ability seems pretty logical. There was a lot of leaks and rumors that we could spend length talking about here, but we have other things to get to. Summoner characters, etc., things like that. I know it feels like we've just got Doomfist, because we did, but the next hero might be closer than you think. And I think there's a pretty good chance that they might be revealed at BlizzCon, which is a couple months away. Only time will tell. We will be waited with bated breath, especially those of us who are looking for a new support player to learn. When asked the question, will there be more Doomfist changes, Scott's answer was quite interesting, considering the things that we've said about Doomfist. It seemed to kind of align with our opinion, at least. Doomfist as the character is very much what you see is what you get. He's the glass hand cannon. And as Scott Mercer says, once players learn to play around him, they'll be much more accustomed to what his weaknesses are. And we hope, at least on this channel, we have provided you with the resources to understand what those are. But to be honest, watching some of the recent pro games, it seems like they even are still figuring things out. Some pro teams are slower to adapt in Theorycraft than others. I know some of you tweeted me wanting me to break down the Lunatic High game where they run Sombra and Tracer against Doomfist on Hollywood. Two characters that I said were overrated against Doomfist for good reason. You can pop them in the mouth really quickly and they don't have time to react. The pro team Immortals was still running standard Dive Fair against Envious's Doomfist McCree combo. One complements the other for a crowd-controlled nightmare. A lot of these things I think I did explain in my Doomfist Counters Misconceptions video, so if you're still struggling with Doomfist, I suggest you watch that. There's a ton of depth to the character, and the more you learn to play around it, I think the more you'll have fun countering him, because it's a lot easier than it seems. Especially when you realize it opens up characters in the meta that weren't really having a use before. Something that seemingly is definitely coming is a match history that'll kind of give you a semi-detailed report of how you played in different matches in your most recently played games, but also on top of that, even more stats is something they're definitely looking into. He went into explaining how they would like, especially at least for esports, so I don't know how much this is going to affect matchmaking play, but at least for esports, to be able to really track individually precise stats, like for instance, what Seagull Genji does compared to a Shatterburn Genji, even down to the specifics of like which one uses which type of click more. Maybe one charges his ultimate faster, maybe one uses a different type of fire, how many Dragon Blade kills do they get on average, things like that. Very precise, and I think that kind of stuff will really help the esports analysis, because oftentimes it's difficult to articulate or even perceive some of these really high-level functioning players and what makes them different. Sometimes the playstyles and approaches to a character can be vastly different. When you're able to hone in on some of these types of statistics, you can tell a story about why one player approaches it this way, or what can be more effective, because without that kind of information, it can be difficult to tell. Something that I think sounded like a hint that we potentially will get full VOD reviews. I sit on the edge of my seat daily, checking Twitter, hoping for one day that is to be announced. You don't know how much easier it would make the pro analysis videos that I do. Many hours of my life would be saved, but the first step to that, I think, is in the works, because what they said was for the esports component, for like Overwatch contenders, they want to have the ability to be recording the game and the different perspectives, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, so forgive me, but to be able to go back to an event like when a Tracer sticks a pulse bomb, gets a multi-kill, they want to be able to rewind back in time to see that from different perspectives or the best camera angle, etc. And honestly, all this sounds to be the starting of a full VOD system where the entire game is being recorded all the time, because in order to do that, it sounds like those features would have to be started to be built, if not in entirety. So like, why can't we get the whole kit caboodle here and get a full VOD system? I would expect that one follows the other. Moving right along, as we know, deathmatch, much like competitive Lucio Ball, we're likely to see a competitive deathmatch. At least it was heavily hinted that they, quote, go where the fun is, unquote. So because so many players like it anyway, it seems pretty natural that we might get a competitive deathmatch. Also, they said in terms of supporting team deathmatch versus regular deathmatch with more maps and features or whatever, it's going to be down to where the player base decides what's more popular. Obviously, there are limited spaces on the arcade board, so they're probably going to keep whatever is the most popular to help populate the playlists the best. But I think competitive deathmatch is a great thing. You might be able to find the difference of your ability to rank up in the normal ranked objective game mode and your ability to do it in the pure fragging game mode, and see where you end up. One last thing for today, they do mention a map editor, and they have talked about this before, but the interesting thing is the way that Scott mentioned it now almost makes it seem more of an inevitability, or at least very likely to happen, maybe in the long term, and I'm talking like years at this point. But it's something that they're saying they're basically future-proofing the software so that the system would be able to handle it in the event that they do create a map editor. Of course, many Blizzard employees came up through the map editors of StarCraft or Warcraft, so the concept of being able to express yourself, to really add something to the game and create something brand new in terms of either game modes, maps, etc., is something that they want to give to the community, definitely, but it sounds like the time that it would take to build the infrastructure for it is something that they're going to be offsetting for the future. So we're talking Overwatch late game at that point, after the spectator mode, after things that are more immediate to what the game needs right now. What's the change that you're most excited about that we've mentioned here today? Are you worried that your beloved Mercy might all of a sudden become a more skillful hero? Or maybe, perhaps you're on the other end of it and you're excited at being able to do more things with Mercy. I mean, like one change that I've heard floated around in the forums is what if she could shoot while healing? You probably might have to nerf her gun a little bit, but that would add a very skillful aspect to her kit at the same time, much like Lucio has. His damage is definitely important. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day, and especially like today, we're going to have another video on this subject. Season 6 changes were heavily hinted in this interview. That's going to be our next video, so hit the bell icon so that you get notified when that video goes live. Linked in the description, you can check out Siegel's stream. Everybody should know Siegel. He is one of the nicest guys in Overwatch. Watching this interview looked like a family reunion or something. These guys looked related. They were so adorable. Siegel sitting down with Uncle Scott. Check out his stream. He's a very great streamer, as everybody knows. He's incredibly famous for a reason, but you should check him out anyway if you haven't already. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.